Alright guys, time for another GameAnyone.com exclusive. We're gonna be playing Megaman Dr. Wily's Revenge. The first Megaman game that got released on the Game Boy, which is supposed to be a port from the NES games. I do consider this Megaman series, or Rockman World series as it was called in Japan, a complete different one from the original. Even if they get the bosses repeated, and in theory we have to deal with the same levels, well, they're completely changed. The format of the games, of the series as a whole, is different from the original game. As well as some enemies. For example, this thing that looks like a sun. I don't recall having seen it on the original game, but yeah, this is a really interesting series that not so many people actually paid attention to. Like, it was really underrated in general compared to the NES games and of course the sequels that got released on other consoles later on. But yeah, this is definitely underrated. So basically, they were 4 Mega Man games for the Game Boy based on the NES games, and a 5th one which was completely different and exclusive for Game Boy and Super Game Boy, which was called Mega Man 5 precisely, but that had nothing to do with the Mega Man 5 that we saw on the NES. So basically, in this series, you fight 4 bosses from Mega Man 1, and then the second half of the game itself, you need to fight, or you have to fight 4 bosses from Mega Man 2. So combines bosses from 2 different Mega Man games. Mega Man games from the NES, of course, making that reference. In Mega Man 2 for the Game Boy happens the same thing. You have to fight 4 bosses from Mega Man 2, the remaining 4, let's say, and 4 bosses from Mega Man 3, and so on and so forth. In Mega Man 4 you have to fight for Mega Man 4 and 4 from Mega Man 5. But you don't get to see the other 4 bosses from Mega Man 5, as well as the Mega Man 6 one, so on and so forth. I would have expected more sequels of this, seriously, because it is really interesting to deal with a combination of bosses from different games. And also some customized bosses and levels, especially the last ones. Right, that wasn't hard. Time to fight Catman, which is the only one I'm gonna be fighting with the normal weapon, without the weakness. I guess I'll be able to make it. Not if I get hit like this all the time. Yeah, the game is really short. Basically due to the fact I was kind of close. I had enough time anyway. This is particularly short because you have to play only 4 levels and then you go to Wily's stages, in which you fight the Mega Man 2 bosses in the boss gauntlet, or the boss rush section. Well, next one, by logic, if you remember the weaknesses from Mega Man 1, is Elecman. So yeah, from Mega Man 2 on, talking about this series, you are able to play 8 levels as such, fighting 1 boss, 1 Robot Master, and then Wily stages. Mega Man 3, 4, and 5, I repeat, the 5th one was completely different from the rest of the series, actually were longer games, each of them. Really interesting, really unique. That's why they are worth being treated and being played differently from the NES games. That's why I consider this particular Game Boy series really underrated in that sense. I'll be, of course, playing them all. Not all of them in a row, but considering that I have other Game Boy games and some other Super Nintendo games I want to do. Remember, this is these are the walkthroughs I already did almost 3 years ago, 2 years and a half to be exact with the numbers. And yeah, I'm probably not following the exact same order as I promised, but at least trying to be organized with the series. I'll be eventually doing the rest of this series, Mario Land series as well. I already did the first one, I want to do the second one, and the Wario Land series for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, both are quite a few videos to go through. Super Bomberman series on the Super Nintendo, well, a lot of more things, but in terms of like the big franchises of each of those consoles I already did, Donkey Kong Country also, I don't want to forget about it, Sonic the Hedgehog, so on and so forth. All of those big games, big franchises I did at first will be redone with commentary, because I didn't have any good commentary back in the day, or just no commentary whatsoever. So yeah, so you can tell these are supposed to be the same levels with similar melody from the original games, but you actually deal with enemies from the two games, Mega Man 1 and 2. Did you see that those guys riding the clouds? Those appear in Airman stage in Mega Man 2 for the NES, so you can definitely tell some interesting differences. This is the big eye. I cannot slide, so sometimes I just gotta get it hit or be quick and kill him. I think I already made it. Yeah, there we go. When I use the weakness, and this one is a lot easier because, well, in the NES game, you get hit like 2 times by Eggman and you die. Well, he also dies with a couple of hits, which gets repeated here. And definitely that makes it a lot easier in this version. Next one is Iceman. At first you see that it looks like the exact same level as the NES game. You will tell a few interesting differences as well. For example, these ice cubes, if you stand on each cube for so long, they're gonna melt, as you can tell. I didn't need to grab that item, but anyway. Alright, these enemies can be easily killed with the rolling cutter that I'll be using quite a few times in this level. I mean, I don't need it right now. Well, in the case of this enemy, yeah, perhaps, but later on I'm gonna be dealing with more of those guys. Okay, this is another interesting difference, the icicles that you got to use as platforms and get the pattern out of them. Once again, you gotta deal with the same phenomenon. It's a bit more complex. You needed this second icicle to make this jump a lot easier. And not dying, of course, that's the whole point. Nice, I didn't get hit. Most of the time, I do get hit. I'm gonna recover a little bit of this weapon, and I don't think it's a good idea to use it against Sniper Joe. Sniper Joe, for the ones who are not into Mega Man, is this guy with a shield. Right now I'm gonna use Catman's weapon. There we go. I think I'm done with the level. Yeah, pretty short, pretty easy. Let's use Eggman's. This flashing. Too many objects on screen, especially Gameboy screen, very little, very limited. That's why Mega Man sprite looks really big. That doesn't affect the gameplay at all. It plays just like the NES games. It was surprisingly positive aspect after all. The remaining one, Fireman, kind of contradictory weakness here. I'm supposed to use Iceman's weapon, and well, it should be the other way around. Fireman destroying Iceman's, or Iceman the robot himself, using fire. But anyway, I'm not gonna question video game logic. These little fire thingies are called chunkies. I don't know how I memorized some of the names. Yeah, unlike the NES games, in the Game Boy versions you are able to see the names of the enemies at the end of the game. At least in the 3 first Mega Man games. The name of the enemies. And, well, of course the bosses. This is a Chunky Maker, Mega Man 2 enemy. That I think appears in Quickman stage. When it gets dark. Nice, a bit of health, buck. Timing. Timing games. Full health now. Well, you know you can freeze these flames using the Ice Slasher for you to get the health thing especially up there, but since I don't need it, I'm just gonna keep going. More flashing enemies to my shield screen. Precise shooting is needed right there. Right, this part actually gave me a lot of headaches. So just freeze those things. Nice. I think one more. Well, you can also freeze this guy and then shoot with a normal one. That's in case you don't want to get hit by the chunkies or the enemy himself like he just got hit, right? There we go. The enemy respawns, so I'm gonna hit him all those once again. Alright, I think that's it. So let me use the Ice Slasher. This boss is a lot easier as well in the Game Boy version. You can easily predict those attacks, avoid them all, and there is no fire residual on the floor, so you don't get hit when you land after jumping. Which is nice, I'm not gonna complain. The game provides a good challenge as a whole anyway, so... Carry's well, replacement of Rush Coil or the item 1 from Mega Man 2, for example. Okay, next time I'm gonna be doing Wily stages and more than likely finishing the game, so I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.